Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast
with Garrett Williamson.
Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Hey, welcome to the show. You know, in the past, if you've had an opportunity to hear my elevator speech about what I do for a living, it goes something like this. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise science. I have a master's degree in fitness management. I own and run the #1 personal training facility in the state, top 10 in the Southeast. I come from a medical family. I have a father who's a physician. My brother's a physician. I'm not a dietitian, nor do I play one on TV. Now, that last part of that, I throw in there all the time to make it very clear that though I make quite a few dietary recommendations, which is perfectly legal for me to do, I don't play outside the lines. But if I dive deep into nutrition, I want to bring on a professional, and I wanted to sit down and talk about some of these fads that are out there and clear up some of the air on nutrition. Well, I'm famous for saying I don't like to finger paint when I have access to Michelangelo. So I sat down the other day and spent some time with Lynn Barnes, registered dietitian here in Mobile.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, we're going to dive head first. I didn't discuss with you exactly what we'll be talking about on this as far as the diets are concerned, so I'm going to throw a couple out to you. I'd love to hear what you have to say as far as the different programs that are out there that we're hearing a lot about, and I've got clients asking about. I know you've got clients asking you about. So start with the whole intermittent fasting. Can you tell us about that? Now, that's brand new. Is that right?
Well, I think it's kind of made a way back. None of this is new, I guess. We've tried everything down through the years.
It seems like it just kind of rears its head every once in a while.
Right. Whether somebody has done it on their own and just didn't tell anybody, or
right.
whether it made the press, and so everybody got on the bandwagon. But the intermittent fasting, I think, is just another way of sort of controlling one's appetite. It's what it really sounds like.
Okay.
Because reading up on it, I wanted to do a little refresher so I'd make sure I was given good information. It's really not about taking away any calories. I mean, it's trying to help one get, because if you are intermittent fasting, supposedly you are consuming the right amount of calories for you to whatever your goal is, whether it's to gain, lose, or maintain your weight.
Right.
It's just going about it at a few different maybe hours during the day.
Okay.
In nutrition school, I was taught breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, supper like a pauper.
And that hasn't changed.
No.
It's 5 years ago that you were in school, I know, but
maybe 6.
Maybe 6. Okay, great. So, but that hasn't changed. I think that's fantastic.
And I think that's just if you think about it, that's during the days that we're awake, we're the most active, probably.
Right.
During those times, but maybe not. I laugh about that. I wake up and then go sit at a desk.
Right,
for 8 or 10 hours.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
And I think a lot of people do.
Right.
So looking at it this way, and most of the people that are probably starting out on intermittent fasting, hopefully are working out. This is kind of where you hear about this type of thing.
Right. Right.
So on any of the grids that you see, let's just say the intermittent fasting where you're eating maybe between noon and 7 or 1 and 9 or whatever, there's a workout break.
Right.
On the schedule.
Okay.
I think the whole working out is part of, revving up one's metabolism, trying to force the body into burning fat for energy.
I got you. Okay.
So,
That's the basis behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is. So trying to lower insulin levels. When one overeats, when one has like truncal fat,
right.
That's where a lot of your receptor sites are for insulin. So the body makes insulin. It's supposed to go somewhere. I look at it like the revolving door. It's a timing thing.
Sure.
So your door's opening and closing. So if the insulin is produced, but it does not arrive to the place it's supposed to go, called a receptor site, in a timely fashion, the door closes. Oh, see you later. So the body knows it made it, but it doesn't know where it went, so it remakes insulin.
Oh, okay, I got you. All
insulin is a growth hormone.
Right.
It tells the body to keep your fat. You're going to need this fat, keep it.
Right.
So it's like a mixed signal. So for anyone to lose truncal fat, it's going to help the traveling of insulin get to where it needs to go. And without saying it being a growth hormone, I think insulin, when one's blood sugar lowers, the physiological responses, do you feel tired, do you feel weak, do you feel hungry, it preempts you to eat again.
Okay.
So if one is keeping a high insulin level, that could be the reason for their appetite being so voracious or very difficult to contain. You eat a meal, you get up an hour later, you're hungry again.
Right.
So a lot of these type manipulations are to help one control, reduce, manage insulin levels so that they can manage their appetite.
Okay. Well, then it's interesting, and this is what I talk about when I think about dispelling myths of health, fitness, and nutrition. Many people that I speak to believe that intermittent fasting has to deal with, not taking in the same amount of calories. But that's not what it is. It's basically controlling insulin, a technique for controlling insulin.
Right, a technique for it, a way to controlling appetite, to
control
food choices, basically.
Right.
Now, if you look at the types of foods that are suggested on an intermittent fasting eating plan,
right,
it's the same stuff we've been telling people all along. It's the good stuff. It's whole foods,
exactly,
minimally processed foods or no processed foods, and looking at carbs from the idea of going for the carbs that are high nutrition but low sugar.
Right, I understand.
It's really lean meats, leafy greens.
Right,
The
exactly.
fat intake is going to be higher because if one consumes more protein, protein and fat are kind of a package deal for the most part.
Sure.
So anyway, when I was just refreshing my mind about the what's considered a good eating plan for that, it's the stuff we've been telling everybody for the last 100 years. What
is old is new again, right? I mean, I love that. I love it. So and I like the fact that Lynn points that out, and I think unless intermittent fasting is something you would not recommend people to do, I see a lot of these programs as just this is a new technique, new way of going about it, and it may, and we have that in fitness. We have that in fitness. People talk about, oh gosh, this circuit training thing where you just do something, you do high intensity training, high intensity interval training, and you only do it for 30 minutes. That may work for somebody's head,
Exactly.
It's just it's a different way of going about the exercise. It's pretty well doing the same thing. We're going to do a higher intensity for a lower amount of time instead of lower intensity for a longer amount of time. And as I tell people, is this good? Or I get that question a lot. I'm sure you do too, about is this good or is it not good? Yeah, it's good if it works for your head and it's not illegal or moral fattening. Go for it. And so that's kind of what I see in these diet programs too.
Yeah, it might be a way to get someone engaged.
Absolutely.
Once they're engaged, then it kind of opens your mind up to a lot of different ideas, avenues, ways of doing things. I hate to tell people if someone comes to me with a great idea, I hate to just completely slash it.
I agree, yeah.
Because then, you really, what did you do? You took somebody who was looking for some motivation. Maybe they found some, and you just said, oh, no, that's all wrong.
Right.
I try to never do that. You can
understand.
A step is in the right direction is a step.
Yeah,
and
true.
And so there are a lot of ways to do this right.
Right.
And I think that's what people need to focus on is, just because you started the journey, it's not where you're going to end up.
Yeah, true.
We may change the course, several times. And I just think that's really important these days for people to just continue to search until you find something that really works for you. Right.
And the works for you, that's I hear that a lot. I hear that people telling me, well, this diet worked for me or this exercise program worked for me. And that's exactly what we're talking about. That speaks to what we talk about all the time about somebody's level of wellness. I can get my brain around this. This is fantastic. It fits my lifestyle, whatever. It works, like you say, it works for you. So another one I want to ask you about, though, and we're probably going to go down sort of the same road because I see a lot of the same results out of this, but ketogenic diet. Keto is a big, it's been out for a while now. Paleo, keto, kind of ones. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
When I first heard about this again, I thought, oh, heavenly days. Because my first experience with what I call a ketogenic diet was in hopes of controlling epileptic seizures in children.
Oh, wow.
And it was a 4-to-1 fat to protein and carb ratio. You're talking about unpalatable.
Yeah.
And I quit your job to do it. I knew many mothers who did this for their children, and it seemed to help. Right. So I was a little taken aback by ketogenic. I was hoping that was not what people were going to do because I didn't know how in the world they were going to do that. Mm-hmm. But it basically is the same thing. It's just lowering the carb level.
I got you.
Increasing the protein and fat.
Right. And I think we've seen that before, and
we have.
Again, I'm not knocking it. And like you were saying a minute ago, I've got in fact, I have a client that's been with me for years and just loves the keto. Works for her head. She likes to dive headfirst into that. It works fantastic. It's great. Again, it's not legal, moral, or fattening. I did not know about that being the foundation of what you're doing.
I'm not saying it's the foundation. That was just my first experience with it, so I did not know how that was going to make it.
I got you.
But funny thing, I looked up keto too, and I got the same paper that I got on intermittent fasting for the diet part. Right. I thought that was really interesting.
Very interesting. So a lot of the foods stay the same. That's interesting. So what else am I missing? Have I covered? I mean, some of the hot topics here, or the other ones that people are talking about that you're getting hit with?
Well, if you look on websites to try to educate yourself about this, obviously it's weight loss people are looking at, fat control or whatever, but there are also disease states that can perhaps be improved, by weight loss, some of these. And certainly I first learned about it at one of my first dietitian jobs was they did this to try to see where someone was on the diabetic realm, trying to see if they can make someone better by helping them get a sort of a quick weight loss and to see if they were going to need medicine or whatever. Sure. So there's all kinds of obviously health benefits that can be achieved from weight loss, and I think that's why these things remain so popular. We're trying to find a good way, an easy way that people can be successful.
75% of the people that come to us come for, of course, for weight loss. So that's and I find excess. I'm going to go with excess fat, but excess fat being on the body is what causes so many problems, and so I can understand by correcting that. Well, we see it all the time. Corrects a lot of the problems as far as that goes. So when you get into aging, this is something that well, of course I deal with a lot. 35% of our clientele is over the age of 65, and if you're a fan of the show, you know that I talk all the time about the lie of age, the idea that we deteriorate because time passes on the calendar, and that is absolutely not true. And a large part of one of the components of ability, which is what we're really talking about, I'm able to do something, I'm not able to do something. One of the 4 components of that happens to be nutrition, and I believe it's a big, big part of it. I'm sure that my guest today, Lynn Barnes, is a registered dietitian here in Mobile, who's joining me on the show, would agree with me. We'll find out in just a second. Lynn, as far as aging is concerned and nutrition, what do we need to be concerned with? I know it's probably a big, broad topic, but as important, if not more importantly, when do we need to be concerned with it?
Well, I took this big class in college. It's called Nutrition Through the Life Cycle. And the book was about 15 pounds. Those books.
Oh, yeah.
So, it starts out. It makes plenty of sense. You need a lot of calories when you're small,
right?
But not the volume. Obviously, because you're a smaller person,
right?
Then it gets bigger, and then it starts to decline again because of the way that we are growing.
Right.
And then you don't grow anymore, basically, from a stature standpoint.
Right.
So, but one of the things that really doesn't change, because protein needs are based on your stature, not your weight.
Right.
That should be the same throughout the life cycle once you reach, the height that you're going to be. So you definitely always need to be concerned about protein.
Okay, so just restating to clear it for me and see if I have this right. You're growing. Let's say you've got some. I'm making up these numbers, but you're in your young preteens or what have you. You may be 82 pounds or something, and then you grow and you end up growing to a hulking 5'6", 165, and but that that's it. That's right where you're going to be is running that. When you get to that point, you're saying that your protein needs, and I guess particular to amounts, pretty well stay the same from there through the rest of your life.
Yes, except for when you are older, it actually takes more protein to assimilate the same amount because you don't absorb as well.
Okay,
digest and absorb as well. So we find it like with our senior athletes, if I were to look that up and to try to do a calculation, they're going to have a higher rate of protein need than someone who's just in their middle age.
What dictates this? What dictates that absorption level? Why does that change?
That's just the body just loses ability to do things at a greater rate. It's just part of it. Certain things affect absorption, like if you have a lot of fiber in your diet, it blocks the absorption of iron.
Right.
It's just things that it's just part, we usually get a little extra because we're not sure that we're getting all of it. Look at calcium. Why should we have calcium deficiency in the United States?
Right.
We have so much calcium in our diet, but we don't absorb it.
Okay. Interesting. Now, as far as that changing as time passes on the calendar is probably something I'd like to look into more, but you bring up something very interesting about it, like you're talking about protein absorption that's affected by iron absorption is affected by fiber intake. Okay, that's a nutritional reason why we have those changes. So, but I think it's interesting, and I love that it's something we talk about a lot, and that is the maintaining protein throughout a lifestyle. In my experience, and in talking to clients, because I've got people that are aggressive about making their workouts on a regular basis. They're training. I know what they're doing as far as their workouts concerned. They're training not only with at Personal Edge. We typically have everybody train with more than one trainer. We have the most qualified staff in the Southeast. Why? Two heads are better than one. So I know they're getting a good workout in, but they're not seeing the development as far as the muscle growth or muscle maintenance. And we start looking at, typically I call you, and we start looking at protein amounts, and we see, especially in some of my junior clients, that's kind of fallen off. Why do we see that? Why do it seems to me that at a certain time, lifestyle, I'm guessing, that changes, that starts to fall off. Why do we see that? Or am I wrong?
You could ask those clients. Perhaps they don't have the same appetite that they once did.
Right.
I know in the population that I work in, I've been working in not as healthy of a population for the last 20 years.
Right.
They say that protein, the taste of protein changes. Like meat, it does not taste as well to them.
Interesting.
It has more of a metallic taste.
Right.
If anyone has ever had to go through, heaven forbid, cancer, chemotherapy treatments, or anything like that, where they've had a severe health problem, that maybe their appetite really took a step back.
Right.
A lot of times, those type, meats, meals don't appeal to them as well.
Sure,
so
I understand.
It could be that they've taken a step back from protein.
Right.
From that regard.
Okay, I see that, and that seems to be a challenge I'm seeing with a lot of our senior clients, is just making sure they take in first thing, enough calories. When I have somebody who has a strong work ethic, they're on time for their sessions and what have you. They're pretty well tops in everything they do. They put a lot of work into everything they do. Those clients I tend to see don't get as many calories in, and I know that's a challenge. And I'll tell you what, we'll pick that up in just a second. But I believe we've got a caller on the line. So is this John from Orange Beach? Hey, John, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
I'm doing great.
Good. What can I help you with?
Well, I just wanted to get your opinion on this, I guess. I had arthritis.
Okay.
I went to a couple of gyms, spoke to a couple of doctors, went to a couple of CBD stores, and everybody started to have me drink this water, and they would give it to you for free.
Sure.
It's a very high alkaline water. They explained to me that the water that we drink is acidic.
Right.
And so with their alkalized water, my arthritis is gone. Right. And the water is called Kangen water. And I've
heard a lot about that, and I've had people call me about that before. And actually, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better, and I'm not sure what your water intake was prior to this, John, but typically one of the things that water does is lubricates our joints. And so adding water, adding the recommended amount of water, which is 100 ounces plus every day that ends in a Y, even the day you don't think you're supposed to drink water, even during Lent, every single day. And if you're not doing that, that's going to exacerbate the problems of arthritis. So I'm quite certain that taking in water itself actually helped alleviate the symptoms that you're having of arthritis. Of course, arthritis isn't gone, but I'm sure that it helped alleviate the symptoms of arthritis. So whether or not the alkaline water did, I don't mean to say one way or the other on that, but mainly it's just because of upping your intake of water. And I would applaud your efforts on that and tell you to continue doing that, especially doing the if it's the alkaline water that you like, go for it, absolutely. But make sure you maintain that amount.
It's a molecular hydrogenated water.
Right, but like I say, it just depends on if you were drinking your amounts of water before you started drinking the Kangen water. So, and I'm not against it. I think that's fantastic, and I'm glad to hear you're taking in enough. So, thank you so much for your call. And let's go to Ed if we can.
Hey, how are y'all today?
Doing good, and yourself?
Okay, reasonably speaking.
Okay.
I need to ask about being a severe diabetic.
Right.
I'm on a couple of shots a day, Ozempic, bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's lowering my blood sugar and the A1C to a degree, and it's helping my diet somewhat, but getting rid of this gut fat, that kind of thing, I work out somewhat. Well, I play golf and I walk. Okay? That's good enough for a almost 65-year-old guy, more or less. got any suggestions?
Yeah, quite a few actually.
Diet-wise.
And I tell you what, we'll get to the diet. Let me touch on some of the exercise part of it. But first thing, I applaud your efforts. I think that's fantastic with the walking and the golf. Throw the 65 out. Promise you, don't let that bother you one iota. Don't let that hold you back. Now, as far as the diet is, as far as your exercise is concerned, tracking the amount of calories you're expending through something like a Fitbit and what have you, and also tracking calories in. I'm gonna let Lynn handle the nutrition side of it. The other side of that, Ed, is no matter what. I think you're doing great with the golf and the walking. I don't want you to stop that. But something you should seriously look into is to look into some sort of resistance training. We need that at every age. We need that all the time. That's going to help you. It's going to help you with the weight loss. It's going to help you control that, and it can actually help you a lot with your diabetes. And we've had people go down to where they're taking almost no medication whatsoever for it. But as far as the diet's concerned, Lynn?
I just agree with what you said. You just have to have some kind of program or process that you follow, meaning, if it's eating more regularly, if it's not skipping meals, if it's taking your medicine as you should. To me, someone that's, dealing with a disease like you just have to have good management of it. And I do agree with what Garrett said.
Ed, if we can help you with that, we do consultations for free, and I'd love to help guide you on where you need to go with that. You can call us at 251-341-0927, and one of our exercise physiologists will be glad to sit down and speak to you about that. Especially, please don't let this age thing bother you. 35% of our clientele is over the age of 65. I've got some of them that are doing amazing things. I had a man at 75 years old do his first pull-up. He still does them to this day. Don't let that hold you back in any way, shape, or form. So,
Garrett, I might add him.
Can you give me that number one more time, please?
Sure, it's 251-341-0927. And Ed, Lynn had something to add about that.
One of the great things that I think about people who are a little older, that maybe they have a little bit more of their time back in their day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can plan your day, and if it includes, making sure you cook or meal prep or coming to the gym or doing the strength, all those things, I think you have maybe a little more time for that, so you can be way more focused on yourself.
Absolutely. That, and also the controlling that your nutrition program, and also adding exercise gives you energy, gives you more time. So
it does.
Ed, thank you so much for calling, and I hope you get a chance to hear the show again.
Appreciate it.
When I talk about food, that I'm going to get into what I call the lie of food, this idea that we've got good food and bad food, and there's a lot of bad consequences that have come out of the lie of food. And before we get into that, I'm going to talk to Lynn about that. And fans of the show will love this, because Lynn is about to put me under the table or tell me that I might know what I'm talking about. Both of them could be scary to people. Okay, Lynn, so what about it? The whole idea of good food versus bad food.
Well, I don't know really what that would be, and I don't know how one would come about that, saying if they felt bad when they ate a food, or somebody said shame on you for eating that. I'm really not sure. I'm
thinking, maybe food ran in and stole your TV, or was mean to your child or something. I have no idea. I'm not sure if we can punish it and put it in the corner, but I think that we've done that with some foods.
I think so too. Well, the whole idea of what you're saying, it kind of goes back to, I'm trained as a registered dietitian, and one time, March is Nutrition Month usually, and we always have a slogan, every year. But my favorite one was called "All Foods Can Fit." And
I love it.
And I did too. I think that just says the message right there is what's important to you. Like, you may have a whole different food list than I do in terms of what we like, what we enjoy, what we feel like gives us the most energy, which foods are the most satiating. So as different as people are, why would we think that everybody would eat the same way and eat the same foods or enjoy the same foods? But I do know a lot of training has gone into helping people enjoy eating. That's what it's all about. That's why we have it. It's a basic premise of life.
Absolutely.
And you won't be here a long time if you aren't doing it.
True.
And you might even be grouchy somewhere along the way if you aren't getting a balance of that.
Right.
So I think that perhaps taking a step away from good food, bad food, just asking oneself, are you enjoying what you're eating? Right. Is this something that you're looking forward to? Now, maybe some people look too forward to food.
Right.
I've seen people that live to eat or eat to live.
Right.
And somewhere in between those two things are important.
Exactly.
I've had wives who wanted to cook nice meals for their husband. They're like, he don't like anything. Anything's fine. Or the other person, I think you mentioned, you get up from one meal planning the next meal.
Right, exactly.
Planning the next snack or whatever,
Exactly.
Not sure either one of those things. But I do think, by and large, we should not even be feeling good or bad about a food.
Right.
We should be trying to find the foods that are the most nourishing for us.
Absolutely. Well, and I can't agree more. And I like what you said about people that somewhere between living to eat and eating to live, somewhere in the middle is our answer. What we deal with, and we see this in exercise. We don't see it as much in exercise as we do with food, nutrition. But when I've got somebody that is exercising so much and so addicted to it in an unhealthy way, then exercise is controlling their life. And that's when we know that's a red flag. I mean, I sell exercise for a living, but still I don't want it controlling anybody's life. And that's what we see a lot with food.
Right.
We see people that go overboard with things and therefore now it's controlling you. Okay. I think that's a red flag. I think that's some time to take a step back and look, but not so much. I feel not so much at the food, but what's going on in your life? What do you actually? What's causing you to go that way? I mean, is that the right approach? Is that what we're?
Well, I think whether you want to believe this or not, you are a counselor or a coach.
Right.
So am I.
Yeah.
In terms of people are, sharing things with you, asking advice.
Sure.
Basically, you are looking at it from how can I counsel this person?
I understand.
Maybe they know their own answers, but I think it's just a point of confusion. We all nobody knows exactly, are they doing something right?
Right.
Are they doing something wrong or whatever?
Right. I did this when I talked about, and I did my series on the live food. One of the things I talked about was the unintended consequences of what I call the live food, the good food and bad food. And when we first started criminalizing, and it's the word I use because I can't think of a better way to describe it. When we first started criminalizing red meat and we started criminalizing butter and things like that, I believe for generations our protein levels and our calcium levels were affected. But even more so than that, I see people that when they're talking bad about a food, they're really talking bad about a person.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
That's what I worry about. I worry about that. And then you're accusing somebody of something like that, of, you're eating a bad food or whatever. Then the person comes defensive, and and you'll have reactions of them actually going overboard with the substance just to prove that I've got control of this. And that's where I call the unintended consequences of food. In your counseling and in working with individuals, what do you see that pattern? What are patterns that you see like that? Because I mean, it's not. I don't know that do you have a lot of people that just don't know the different varieties of food to eat? What do you see? What do you see are some of the basic problems that we have?
Probably all of the above. I mean, a lot of people just aren't as versed on nutrition as they should be.
Right.
But there are tools there. I use my FitnessPal a lot with people just because they need an awareness. You know, I have a friend who I've been helping, and she's not really been a dieter, so to speak, but I got her to set up one of my FitnessPal account, and I'm not really even having to help her because she's logging in food, she's looking up things, and she's making her own decision about which would she rather spend her calories on.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I've done experiments like that. Let's just say we did set up a taco bar. Yeah. Okay, so in a sign, I gave people money for the amount for fat. You can spend your dollars on this. Fat.
Yeah.
So you just make a choice.
Right.
If you get cheese and butter and sour cream and high fat meat, all this. Okay, so you could probably get an overload of fat.
Of course.
But if you switch up amounts, use a little of this, a little of that, so you kind of make it, but it's kind of toward to a recipe.
Of course.
So you don't overload on any one thing. It's just you need to be educated about the value in food.
All things in keeping everything in perspective. I mean,
exactly.
Exercise is the same way. On that, Lynn, since you are a registered dietitian, I know you still see some people. What do you see people about, and how can they contact you?
Really anything related to nutrition. I mean, I do have a lot of experience in disease state management, so if anyone has a hard question, so to speak, I'm pretty good at those type things. But also just advice, taking a higher level view of what one is doing and just kind of giving maybe an objective point of view on
Great.
things.
Great.
I always tell people, you're probably not doing everything wrong. There might be one or two things we could massage or switch around, and you might have a whole different outcome.
Great, awesome. I know. Now, how do they get in touch with you?
Just call me, 251-510-5099, or text me. Either one is fine, and I'll be glad to return your phone call.
Lynn, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you sitting down with me today. It's always a joy to speak with you. What a clear mind and straightforward approach to nutrition. Always clears the air for me. I hope it did the same for you. I sure appreciate you tuning in today. And if you're a fan of the show, remember to subscribe and share it. Tell your friends about it. If you have a particular interest of a topic in fitness and nutrition, or have some questions about it, or want me to cover a certain subject on the show, feel free to contact me at garrett@personaledgefitness.com or call us at 251-341-0927. Hey, this is Garrett Williamson. You've been listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast, and I want to remind everybody, seek your own level of wellness.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.